Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then smash the subscribe button and the like button, and please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. I did look like a bit of a madman when I was doing all that. I do apologise. I do get carried away at times. Welcome to Tuesday's edition of the dceu Daily, an amazing article here from the Hollywood Reporter, but it's an article with very tinsy-bitsy writing for some reason, so I'm going to read this out, and it's basically Justice League and Zack Snyder's brighter vision. So we want to celebrate this positivity we're getting about Zack Snyder. As you can see, I've got the first teaser trailer playing in the background quietly, and it's a great damn trailer, and there's been some outrage about the Hallelujah song. Miss Mara Wilson, a former child actor, one of the best child actors there's ever been, brilliant in Miracle on 34th Street and as Matilda, but she's been very, very disrespectful to Zack Snyder and his artistic integrity. We will be talking about that after we've read out and experienced for the first time this brilliant Hollywood Reporter article. I know it's brilliant because everybody else tells me it's brilliant. And it's a positive article, so really looking forward to reading that. And something I forgot to mention on my reaction yesterday of DC Fandom is that we actually got to listen to one of Hans Zimmer's beautiful tracks for Wonder Woman 1984. I don't know if it's still out there somewhere. Give it a listen. It might be on Spotify, by the way, which is absolutely free. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant soundtrack again. He's outdone himself. I have been able to listen... I won't tell you how, but I have been able to listen to some of those tracks from Wonder Woman 84. No, they weren't on the test screening. But this guy is a musical genius. If you see the names Hans Zimmer or Junkie XL, wow. Give it a listen. Go and watch the film just for the soundtrack. Wow, 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 wow. So we are in a celebratory time now because we are getting the continuation of Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. But there's a lot of bitter tears being cried out right now by people who hate us and who hate Zack. And it's just something we're going to have to deal with and react to when those moments happen, like they've happened with Mara Wilson. So, let's give this a read. Justice League and Zack Snyder's brighter vision. Bear with me as I say small writing. Though Man of Steel and Batman v Superman were criticised for their darkness, the heroes are set to reach greater heights in the HBO Max project. Let's be absolutely clear. Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman may have dark elements, but they're brilliant films. You know, they are cinema. They look great. They feel great. The narrative's great. And if you can't enjoy films because they're made in a different way and they're not just da-da-da-da, do you know what I mean? Then I just feel that, look, you don't have to like anything you don't like, but you should at least give things a chance and think about why they're the way they are. It's set in our very own contemporary world. That's the whole point. Anyway, the first trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League has arrived. Hallelujah! No pun intended. During DC Fandom on Saturday, Snyder unveiled the first look at his much-anticipated, long-rumoured Snyder Cut, and even from the 2.5 minutes of footage showcased, it's clear that his Justice League is very different beast from 2017's Joss Whedon. Is a very different beast from 2017's theatrical version that was taken over by Joss Whedon, rescored, recoloured, and stitched together by way of studio exec notes. Now, I like the way they've actually said this, you know, rescored, restitched, recoloured. It's the truth. But now here we are, almost 3 years later, with the promise of a 4-hour HBO Max miniseries that looks like a true continuation of the themes and characters arcs established in Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. Set to Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, a song that holds significant meaning to the filmmaker, the footage further cements the mythic status of these heroes and villains. The trailer opens with a flashback of Euxus, Ray Porter, the apocalyptic warrior who will eventually become Darkseid, before cutting to a possible future that sees the Hall of Justice in ruins as Darkseid ships fill the sky, parademons fly past, and a Joker card lingers on the wind for a moment. That's beautiful. Did I mention that yesterday in my reaction? Probably not. Nothing stays in here for very long, unfortunately. The trailer then moves to the present day, reintroducing the members of the Justice League. Batman, Ben Affleck, Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, Aquaman, Jason Momoa, Cyborg, Ray Fisher, Flash, Ezra Miller, and of course Superman, Henry Cavill, clad in his black suit. The central villain, Steppenwolf, Kieran Hines, is also reintroduced, looking quite intimidating. There's also a quick glimpse of Desaad, Peter Guinness, at the 1 minute 15-second mark, who's never been seen in any of the previous footage. The stage is set for an epic battle between the Justice League and the first wave of the New Gods as they fight for their mother boxes, integral to Jack Kirby's fourth world epic in the comics. But that's just the surface of what's showcased in this trailer. It's worth noting that there's not a single moment of footage in the trailer that was in the theatrical release. That's interesting. And Snyder is making a point to show that this is a different film. One of the big takeaways from the trailer is the prominent presence of people of colour whose roles were largely reduced or eliminated in the theatrical film. I can't deny that. We see Cyborg's parents, Eleanor Karen Bryson, and Silas Stone, Joe Morton, and Iris West, Kirstie Clemens, who all help create this feeling of a larger lived-in world that's just as interested in people as its heroes. Snyder has said numerous times that Cyborg is the heart of the film, and the trailer shows a lot more of the character, including his inability to save his father, creating a nice parallel to Clark Kent's own inability to save Jonathan, Kevin Costner in Man of Steel. That's very, very true. I like that. And on the subject of Superman, we're saved from the horrendous digital malfunction that occurred because of Whedon's reshoots coincided with the filming of Mission Impossible Fallout, in which Cavill had a moustache. The trailer also leans in on the importance that Martha, Diane Lane, and Lois Lane, Amy Adams, two more characters whose roles were significantly diminished in the theatrical release, have to Superman's humanity. While Man of Steel and BVS were criticised for being too dark, Snyder always attested that it was part of the characters' arcs and that they would reach greater heights in Justice League. The trailer suggests that this is very much the case, with civilians looking up in awe at the Flash and Wonder Woman. There's a feeling of optimism present, and one that feels all the more poignant when considering that the darkness and the failure of these characters in the previous two films comes from their human weakness. But as superheroes and as modern gods inspired by Superman's sacrifice, they have an opportunity to become better. As much as the epic battles of Snyder's Justice League are anticipated, it's the smaller character moments evident in the trailer that are most intriguing. It's the essence of what gives the impending release weight and meaning rather than feeling like an entertaining commercial for action figures like the theatrical release or any other Marvel cookie cutter movie, by the way. He's never fought us, not us united, Bruce Wayne says in the trailers. Only dialogue exchange, and at that moment also speaks volumes because for the first time, audience will have a chance to consider and reflect on Snyder's DC Universe films as one united trilogy. Isn't that the point? He never had the chance to speak with his own voice, to finish his vision, and it was unfair. We're talking about journalists and the old regime of WB conspiring to oust this man while he lost his daughter to suicide. This was one of the most grievous situations in the movie industry, and there's some you don't even know about. Some of the stories I could tell you would make you as bald as me, I can guarantee you about that. A really good article by the Hollywood Reporter. It's really good to see, big broadsheets like the Hollywood Reporter speaking positively about Zack and his vision. Listen, if you haven't seen Man of Steel or Batman vs. Superman, and this is your first time watching the DCEU Daily exclusively here on Big Mouth, I implore you not just to watch Man of Steel and the ultimate edition of Batman vs. Superman. Why is there an extended edition? Because the old regime of Warner Brothers cut the man's film to pieces like they did to David Ayer's Suicide Squad. But I would implore you to check out the whole of the DCEU, not just Zack Snyder's work, but it all, because it's all a beautiful franchise. And now, this is my opinion. Now, we heard from DC Fandom, 2 directors from 2 sequels. The Shazam sequel and the Aquaman sequel directors have said that both of these movies will be more darker. Coincidence? I think not. Zack's back, everyone, and Shazam and Aquaman are within the DCEU premise that Zack Snyder started with Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. Let's get them in order of release, right? He's back. Zack is back. Whether you're punching the air about that or not, there is nothing you can do about it. Zack will run his world, his universe. And isn't it interesting that Shazam and Aquaman are getting darker versions? And let's be honest, Aquaman was lightened up. Zack had a different vision for James Wan. And James Wan had his own voice for Aquaman, of course. But, of course, Jeff Johns and the other old WB regime were trying to lighten things up, right? But, of course, they didn't mention Justice League very much in Aquaman, which was the next film after Justice League, because it was an absolute mess. But Aquaman, look, I love Aquaman and Shazam. I don't mind films being lightened up for the right reasons, and I don't mind films being darkened up. Not everything has to be light and fun and inspirational and optimistic, and not everything has to be dark, right? It can be whatever your vision is for it, as long as it's a good film and it's telling a great story and it's somewhat entertaining. That's what movies should be, right? Does JFK or Born on the 4th of July constantly crack gags? No, but they're 2 of the best films made by one of the best directors, aka Oliver Stone, that ever lived. That's my biased opinion, of course. So Zack Snyder is a pioneer. Zack Snyder is a visionary, and he is like Marmite. You either like him or you hate him. And we're going to talk about the hate next here on today's DCEU Daily. Oh, I can't find Mara Wilson's anti-Zack Snyder tweets anymore. Has she taken them down? I can't find them. Anyway, doesn't really matter, because let's just talk about her. First of all, she was slating the Hallelujah song. We're going to talk about the Hallelujah. Listen, can somebody tell me why people hate the Hallelujah song? Because I don't know. Has it got some kind of political context? I haven't stopped singing the song. I think it's a great song. But if someone can comment down below and tell me what is the big deal, I think it's a great song, because the whole idea of the first teaser trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder Cut, right, is celebration. Hallelujah means at last we're going to see the true vision of this movie, and that's it. But the best thing to do is ignore these idiots. So Mara Wilson was slaughtering Zack Snyder, and then when we reacted, telling us, why should we try and force her to like something she doesn't? People are allowed not to like stuff. Mara, no one wants to force you into anything. All we want is a bit of respect. Then she was going on about people supporting a director they don't know personally. Well, that's what compassion is about. Mara, you talk about hating the Nazis, but you're acting more and more like one every single day. You are toxic. You are not diplomatic about your dislike of Zack Snyder. It's very, very disappointing, but this is hardcore extreme left ideology. They talk about, as I said before, the 2 worst places to listen to anything from is the far left or the far right. And moderate politics has been silenced, and we must give moderate politics the voice again, because these people are absolutely insane. But I can't find her tweets. Anyway, this is someone she follows called Sean Kelly, and this is the type of mentality these people have. One of the big problems with dark and gritty Batman movies is that the people writing them can't craft a mystery so complex only Batman could solve it. So Batman's superpower ends up being the ability to violate people's constitutional rights. I don't care what he's violating, mate. I'm sure you want to defund the police as well. Basically, Sean goes on. Batman gets results because he doesn't have to follow the rules that cops do, thus implying that cops would be so much more effective at their jobs if they didn't have to follow those rules. Well, actually, that probably is true. If they didn't have to follow some of the rules, we'd have more criminals in prison and murderers and serial killers and, affect other offenders, right? I think that's the point. That's a discussion worth talking about. But that's anarchy. And I am a fan of anarchy, by the way, because I think the world that we live in simply doesn't work. Too many innocent good people are being hurt because of people like Sean Kelly, who gets offended about everything, right? We carry on. And the grittier the Batman movie is, the fewer powers he's granted through his wealth. In a heightened reality, Batman has supercomputers, ninja skills, fascinating, non-lethal gadgets. A gritty Batman has all the same powers as a cop in riot armor with no legal restrictions. If Jim Gordon tied up a criminal and beat the shit out of him while screaming, "Tell me where the girl is," he would be subject to lawsuits, suspensions, etc. Batman's only superpower in a gritty movie is that nobody can stop him from hurting people. Oh, good. I'm so glad. And I love Dexter Morgan as well. And I loved his brand of justice as well. Want to do a thread about that as well, Sean? Do it. Oh, this is a long thread. When Batman was first created, policing was very primitive, and the gulf between what the cops had, 6 shooters and cars that didn't have seatbelts, and what Batman had was much greater, which made the necessity of Batman seem much greater. Nowadays, though, when a GCPD officer calls in that suspect is driving a black tank, it gets a laugh. But why? Cops have tanks. Cops have lots of tanks. They have armor on par with what gritty Batman wears. They have shotguns, gas grenades, and thermal imaging. Physically, cops nowadays have pretty much all the same capabilities as Batman does. The only thing that makes him different than them is that he gets to be worse than them. Oh, good. Bring it on. I approve, and so do millions of people around the world, Sean, so you're in the minority. This is what makes Batman an advertisement for abusive policing. Packed movie theaters cheering for brutal violations of our social contract, and an implication that we could have thousands of Batmans if we just looked the other way and let cops take care of things. Here's the thing, Sean, and I want you to really listen to me. Batman is a fictional character in a fictional world. Now, if you don't understand that, I do have the names of many different, and I'm very representational and inclusive about this because I know that's important to you, psychiatrists, and you can choose anyone from any background that you want, because I think you do need to talk to someone. Where are we? Yeah. He still goes on, and truly I've got a lot of angry Facebook uncles who have said, just when talking about the protests in our cities these last several months, if we all just looked the other way for a night, the cops could take care of this once and for all. That might be the case, Sean, but this is Batman from a fictional world. I do want you to get the help that you need. How does one address this? Simple. Make Joe Chill a cop. I don't know. It's hardly beyond the scope of imagination that a crooked cop in an economically blighted city could be committing crimes on the side. Our real history is full of cops committing domestic abuse, rape, and murder. And that's just the female ones, but you won't admit that, will you? So make Joe Chill into an officer. Joe Chill, 10-year veteran of the GCPD, he tries to rob the Waynes. Things go sideways. He guns them down. Bruce identifies him at the station. The other cops cover for him. Bruce is confused. Now, why does he want Joe Chill to be a crooked cop? Joe Chill is white. Joe Chill is a man. So what he wants is an advertisement that he can talk about that all straight white males are actually villains. This is what this head case wants to do and wants to say. So he's got something real world to discuss. But guess what, Sean? As I've already reiterated, Batman is a fictional character in a fictional world, fictional city, in a fictional universe. And no matter what you say, it just sounds like madness. But he goes on. Joe Chill says that yes, it was his police sidearm used in the murder, but that's because his gun was stolen from him. You know how these animals in Gotham can be. He gets 2 months paid leave as punishment for losing his sidearm. So instead of spending 10 years learning how to fight against street crime and mob bosses, he spends 10 years with his eyes firmly fixed on police corruption. The Blue Boys Club that protects murderers. The Blue Boys Club. The boys, the men, they're so bad. Bruce knows that when cops die, that's when cities crack down in new horrifying ways, so he's careful to never take a life. When he catches a cop beating his wife or shaking down a store owner or abusing a black man at a traffic stop, he leaves them tied up and dangling. The bloke's nuts. And of course, he only talks about men committing abuse and crimes, doesn't he? Have you noticed that? And now he brings conservatism, if I can say the word, into Batman. So this is what he says. Conservative pundits around Gotham would immediately label Batman a menace, and even as Batman starts using his computers and surveillance cameras to prove he was in the right, that these cops were dirty, people would still flock to defend the cops' bullshit version of events. We are not, nobody is protecting abusive cops, corrupt male and female cops of all colours and all ethnicities and all genders, right? This is what you don't want to face, right? But this isn't about defunding the police. This is about Batman. Again, a fictional character in a fictional universe. It is you who have gone absolutely bonkers. Joe Chill, of course, is now the commissioner, untouchable, beloved by the public for a series of high-profile crackdowns on things like petty theft and homeless people sleeping on the subway vents for warmth. He's sending in cops in riot armor to break up 10 villages under overpasses. He's arresting people who try to feed the homeless. He's making the cops more and more militarized, and Gotham's wealthy elite love him for it. Jim Gordon is explicitly called out in the story for being the coward he is. In most portrayals of his early career, he's seen as a lone good cop surrounded by corrupt ones. But Batman shames him for the things he's allowed to happen right in front of him. Bruce Wayne, meanwhile, has returned to Gotham after a long absence and is upsetting the wealthy elite with the way he behaves. His open Wayne manner to the indigenous of Gotham City, the entire grounds are swarming with poor people. He doesn't allow cops inside. He doesn't allow cops inside. No cops, not even the good ones. This is the extreme left. Welcome to the madness of the extreme left. The people have had enough. They're rising up in protest against the cops, and the cops are out for blood. Riot shields at the ready, gas grenades prepare. They've got beanbag rounds and tasers and batons. But the people of Gotham have Batman. When the cops get ready to assault the peaceful protesters, that's when Batman drops out of the sky, neutralizing their less lethal amendments, taking them down before they can hurt anyone. Batman takes control of the satellites around Gotham, broadcasting live to the whole world, with the instant replay of what each cop was trying to do before Batman intervened. Eventually, as happens sometimes, the tide of public opinion turns enough that some officers start getting disciplined, and then when that happens, furious cops start quitting the force in droves, closing down entire precincts in protest. You'll be begging for us back, they say. This guy is nuts. And wow. Except they don't. That's when Bruce Wayne steps in using what's left of his money and privilege to fund new alternatives to policing in that part of Gotham, showing a new way doing things volunteers, doing good door to door to help their neighbor. And each volunteer wears a bit of paint wears a bat pin on their chest. Defund Batman. I just remember I was on this kick about Superman recently. Oh my god. He's got a Superman take as well. I wanted to end this video. That's the crappiest, shittest, most boring Batman script I have ever read. And I've read a lot of ideas, right? Basically, he's using his ideological politics, as they do in Hollywood, to tell a crap story about the kind of world he wants to live in. He wants to defund the police, and he wants to use Batman to do it. As I've told you before, these people are absolutely insane. These are the kind of people that Mara Wilson agrees with, and that shows you how toxic and intolerant these people really are, they want to get rid of the police force, the entity that protects us around the world, because of a few bad eggs. Nuts. So this is Sean Kelly talking about Superman. So apparently the studio thinks a standalone Superman movie would be impossible to make nowadays. Nobody said that. And as someone who spent many days in childhood running around the house with a tail tied around his neck way too tightly, I have thoughts. Here's now my movie would go. Our boy Clark gets off the bus, be flannel shirted, the big city. Finally, it's time to enact his plans to get a job at the Daily Planet, the greatest newspaper in the world. Keep a dual identity to speak truth to power. Find where his help is needed. His first step is taking a tour of the planet's historic building with a bunch of tourists. Shit's grim. There's a Zumba studio renting out space, and the ground floor elevators are out of order. Floors 2 to 6 are unoccupied. People are leaving with boxes of stuff from their desks. The first time Clark uses his superpowers is in the printing press room, when he acts quickly to stop a machine from flying apart and killing an overworked pressman who has fallen asleep. Clark walks into HR and he's trying to get a job. A surprise showing up at the biggest paper in the world with an unexplained gap in your resume doesn't net you the best options. So he gets an unpaid internship managing shout out to the planet's youth-oriented poll website. Lois Lane is the Planet's star reporter, not because of the amazing stories she's breaking. Those are getting spiked by the publisher because shareholders are skittish. No, Lois is the star reporter because she has no life. She works 80 hours a week. But surely if her stories were shit, mate, she wouldn't be the star reporter. Now, would she now? Journalism was her dream, and it's a dream that's failing her. Her job is mostly secure because nobody else will do as much free work as she's doing for them, literally taking up workload of any 4 other employees. Wow. Must be because she's a woman, right? Wow. Well, this is Lex Luthor has become the richest man in the world because of the horrible, brutalizing ways he's treated his workforce. And it's all technically legal. Naturally, Lex is partially shareholder in the Planet, and she can't get the story to press. Basically, right, this is shit. I'm not reading anymore. I shouldn't have gone through all his threads. I shouldn't have given him any airspace. But it is funny, isn't it? It is funny to see the kind of craziness that these people are capable of. This Mara Wilson character, who was a really great child actor, and now he's a very, very angry young woman, and she doesn't really know what she's angry about. This is what outrage culture is. This is how their minds work. And imagine having these people ruling the world. There would be no free will. Everyone would have to act the same. Their hearts do come from the right place. They do want to live in a perfect world, but the world will never be perfect because we're all flawed human beings. And we all do bad and good things. We are everything. And these people are nuts. And this guy wanted to bring Superman and Batman into the dull reality of defunding the police. What do you think? Nuts? I think it's insane. I think I need to take a lie down because it is staggering. It is staggering the kind of attitude that these people have. And what it is, they have this weird dwarfed mentality of the world. And they've decided to target fantasy films and the very things that we used to use to escape from this horrible dark world. We did it as kids because the world was crap then and the world is crap now. Nothing's changed apart from the incidents that are happening, right? And we need an escape, and Superman and Batman can be that escape, right? But people like this want to use the defund the police commentary with a Batman movie. Thankfully, Sean, you will never get to do this. But these are the kind of people, these are the kind of voices on Twitter. These are the people who are overshadowing moderate, sane politics. And if we don't start having a voice within our own, moderate politics, these people will run the world one day. And if you're not frightened about it, I am. And I apologise for bringing politics into today's DCEU Daily. But it's very, very important we understand, because these crazy alt-left politicians want to bring our entertainment industry into their ideology and into their discussions. And for me, it's absolutely horrifying, because Batman and Superman have always been characters I've gone on a great journey with and escaped with. But those people want to use them for their crazy ideology. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.